Some crashed airplanes into mountains during storms. Others lost themselves in the desert without water. Annual rainfall in the Owens Valley town of Bishop averages 5 inches, and in drought years measures closer to 0. And so the brush that covers the valley is always dry. And that February, it was drier still. Usually snow lies over the mountains. But lately the days had been eerily warm, and snowpack was at a record low. My gardener grandfather on the central coast of California fretted about his yellow pasture. In Bishop, my father, jack of all trades with hands like leather, split fingertips wrapped in duct tape, wrinkles on his cheeks like scars, told me that even in February he was working outdoors in a t-shirt beneath the sky-pricking point of Mount Tom and the long gray line of Wheeler Crest. My father saw the fire when it was still small. He drove north from Bishop toward the stone wall of the mountains, toward our old neighborhood, Swall Meadows. He did not drive to investigate the fire, but to do some work on the place, to split some kindling he'd harvested on the side of Wheeler Crest. As he drove, he saw smoke rising and had to detour around a cottonwood the wind had knocked across the road. The wind blew a steady 50 miles per hour with stronger gusts, shifting directions, throwing dust, whipping brush. At that time, the fire had just been called in, and a crew of volunteer firefighters swarmed around it. A small brush burn, my father thought, and continued up the mountain. On that February afternoon, I didn't yet know how the ground becomes naked where fire passes over, how tree trunks cake in their own blackened bark and clumps of boulders lie bare and singed in the sand. Though I was halfway across the country, a graduate student in snow-crusted Minnesota, from my father's telling, I could imagine what he saw. After all, I am always thinking of home. Before that Friday, Swall Meadows consisted of about 120 houses and 200 people tossed across the steep east-facing wall of Wheeler Crest, surrounded for miles by sagebrush and ragweed and desert peach. In Swall Meadows, there are no street lights and no sidewalks, no need for street lights with so many stars, and no need for sidewalks with so few cars. And every road slopes and sloughs down the mountain, eroding before our eyes. Here, the house where I grew up rests on Mountain View Drive, well up the incline of the Sierra Nevada, 7,000 feet above sea level and 3,000 feet, a 30-minute drive, above the nearest town of Bishop. To get to Bishop, follow an old wagon route, paved over now, that swoops and wriggles through pinyons and crumbled piles of pale volcanic rock. A road so unruly in its curls and curves that as you drive you see the green patch of town 20 miles down, then the wall of Wheeler, then you spin again to the rising bulk of Mount Tom, shifting shape and shade and expression. These days my father lives in a house on the outskirts of Bishop. Swall Meadows is just too isolated, he says, for a person alone. But the house in Swall where we grew up was not a place you left behind all at once, and his tools still cluttered the garage. Sometimes he rented out the rooms to vacationers, and sometimes the rooms sat empty. The house rested on the mountain, neighbors on all sides within shouting distance, but farther than I could toss a stone. Its long driveway narrow and unpaved. And around it grew blue spruce, aspen, cottonwood, Jeffrey pine, apple trees. Below the house, the mountainside swooped into an acre of brush, a wood pile, and a shed where my father and brother once kept dirt bikes. From the living room, big windows gazed over the valley, and at night revealed Bishop far below, a patch of streetlights in a great darkness. The house was sided in redwood. It had a wooden porch, where I used to get splinters and carve my name, and a corrugated sheet metal roof I climbed in summer. In the cement steps that led down the mountain to the little apple orchard were imprints pressed by my sister, my brother.